Delighted to be taking part again in the Future of AI Summit, and also delighted to welcome back to the main stage Eric Vaughan from IgniteTech, the enterprise software company. You were here last year, Eric, and you said then that you didn't see anything being as radical ever again as your decision to lay off 80% of your employees in order to upgrade and upskill to an AI-enabled company. And then in May, you bought Khoros, another enterprise software company, and you got rid of everybody in order to integrate it. So tell us how that happened.
Well, I love that you're starting off with a softball question. Thank you very much for that. That's great. Good morning, everybody. It is good to be back here. You know, the gentleman that was just on the stage, he used a phrase I'd never heard, an AI generation. Can you imagine that? That all of humankind is going to change to become AI-enabled. And it's really, quite frankly, the way we saw it. Our companies were an enterprise software company with customers all over the world. And about 3 years ago, which feels like we were pioneers in the world of AI 3 years ago, we saw this, and I've said it repeatedly, as an existential threat. Quite literally that the company would go out of business if we didn't act quick enough, decisively enough, and with the kind of vision of where we were going that made this, this transition that you mentioned. And it's key to note, we transitioned to 80% of our people. Just as was just discussed on the stage here, we tried really hard for a year to help people become AI-enabled, AI first, all in on AI, as we were. We removed every excuse we could think of, time, investment, money, education, projects. And what we found was a lot of people had a lot of difficulty making changes. And this is true of any kind of rapid change, culturally speaking. And we found, and we had to do it over again, which we did, to answer the second part of the question, we don't want to start with a, hey, this is where we're going. Can you get on board with us? We'd really like you to, because that didn't work the first time. So yes, we acquired another company called Khoros about 4 months ago, about 5 months ago now. Delightful company in the community space, providing communities for a lot of well-known brands all around the world. And that was not a transition simply because of AI. It was a transition because that company was in financial distress when we bought it, and there needed to be some very wide swath changes. But to be clear, we had so many of the functions already that overlap that kind of a change isn't that radical. AI did accelerate it, and it did make it much simpler.
So how did you use AI to achieve the change? I mean, is that, obviously AI is, well, the reason why you bought the company, but how did it help you to make the acquisition and indeed integrate the acquisition?
Yeah, it first and foremost, using technology that we've pioneered, because we're a software company, this is what we're doing. We're building AI innovation technology. We used our own software for that transition. For example, we've got a product called Eloquence, and this product is an email persona, an AI persona that answers every single email that comes in less than 5 minutes in 160 different languages, always perfect grammar in whatever language it's in, always empathetic. And we stood that persona up for the onslaught of messages that we knew we would get post the transition. What is happening? What's happening to the company? What's happening to my role? What's happening to the job? Now that to some people, you're going to react and say, well, that's cold. You know, you put tech in front of a human, but humans don't do well under an assault of emails that are stress-filled. I've watched it. I've watched people try to do it. They don't keep up with it. Their answers get shorter. They aren't as empathetic. They start to feel the feelings that they're getting on the inbound emails. Eloquence, it was marvelous to watch, and it had an HR name. Her name is Helene Roberts. Our people thought they were really clever to give the persona that was answering the emails something that meant HR, right? Helene Roberts. Would always, never get tired, within 5 minutes say, yes, you're right to question your 401k and what's happening, and I could explain that to you. So, I think that that's a template for integration. I think it's a template for being able to merge two companies together very rapidly and very quickly, not just our software, Eloquence, but just using AI in everything we do. And that's who we are today. A year ago, I sat here and said we were AI first.
Right.
A year later, I say we're AI DNA.
So, I mean, I had an exchange with Ella Quinn, get it, from Eloquence yesterday.
Told you, cute names.
And it is very efficient, and it does come back. And except for the pun in the name, you might well think you were dealing with a real Ella. So it achieves that. But let me just come back to the Khoros deal. I mean, another thing you said yesterday, and I'm not going to hold you to your manifesto of last year, but
yesterday or last year?
Yeah, you did say you recommended that no one cut anybody unless you see obvious efficiencies. So are you saying that none of the 650 employees of Khoros merited a chance to justify why they should stay within the larger company?
Oh, everybody had the chance. There were certainly some overlaps, common redundancies, let's say finance, legal, those kinds of things. But yes, everybody, it's key. The decision that was made was that their existing role was eliminated, not the person. They all had opportunities to apply. Some did, some are with the company still.
Okay.
But that was the language in the email that went out that came back to HR@IgniteTech.ai. Your role has been eliminated because we have a completely different org design. It's completely different than any kind of traditional software company.
So again, from last year, you said AI's assisting you, it's not replacing you. There are plenty of people who've worked for your company who would say, well, AI's kind of replaced me.
Yeah, I can see how that line is drawn. What replaced people at Chorus in particular was the current financial situation that it was in. It is one of the reasons we bought the company. It was a remarkable company with amazing customers and amazing technology, but it was not financially viable. And that was really the guidance behind it. What AI did was enable our ability to make those kinds of changes.
Right. Just a reminder that this is a very tight session. We're going to keep it quick fire, but if you have questions, please send them over to the iPad, and I'm going to start looking at them and see whether I can weave those in before we get to the break. You've got obviously plenty of tools that are out there. We've talked about Eloquence a little bit. You've also got My Personas, which allows individuals to kind of create a persona that will respond for them and enable them the persona, as I understand it, then learns a little bit about what you know so that you're not bothered by inquiries because your persona can respond to them in real time again. I mean, these are all areas where I wonder, and of course I've got writer in my title, so I'm naturally a little bit sensitive to the idea that good writing can be done by the machine, as we've already heard this morning. But it makes me wonder how you build a kind of culture of the company. If you've got avatars dealing with things and avatars dealing with each other, how do you make sure that a fast-growing, fast-moving company like yours has a kind of solid and consistent culture? Because it could be a little bit everyone for themselves and agents dealing with agents, avatars dealing with avatars.
Yeah. Boy,
where's the human-centered part of it?
That's perfect way to close that question. So first and foremost, we have the right culture because we changed it. We had to change it radically. And we did that by recruiting AI native people from the very start for all jobs: finance, sales, marketing, software engineering, technical support. Everybody came in, and that was part of this 80% change that we made 2 years ago. And the way we look at it and the way we're building software is to put humans in control at the center of the AI. So there's a real risk here of people becoming very lazy. And by the way, I think lazy gets a bad rap. I think it's okay to be lazy in the sense that you're trying to do the least amount of work to get the best possible result. But AI has this tendency to have people just say, here, you just do it. Write my article for the Financial Times. And you don't do anything except take it and publish it. Now, you wouldn't do that, of course, right? But it can be your assistant. It can do a first draft. It can edit your draft. It can give you insights into things that you're researching that you've never had. So everything we do inside the company, as well as in the software we're building, puts the human at the center of the AI. So you mentioned my personas. Some people will look at it and call it an avatar, and it's out here in the hallway. If anybody wants to see it, you can see it. But they're digital clones. They're clones of people you know. There's clones of me. There's clones of our salespeople. And what we're doing is answering questions that are repetitive, routine questions that are easily fielded with knowledge that we've given it from the individual. But if it can't answer the question, this is what's really important. It then goes to what we call the owner and say, hey, I've got this question. I don't know how to answer that question. And you give that answer via email, via mobile app, a couple of different ways to do it. That answer then goes back to the user session. It also, if they've left the session, sends them an email so they have it. But here's the important tech that is patent pending in my personas. It then automatically updates the knowledge so the next time that question is asked, it won't have to go to the owner. So the way I see it is that owner, let's take the FT AI Live event owner. What time does it start? Where will I find the agenda? What's the address? What tube stop should I take? All these questions that your poor people have had to answer in rapid succession, increasing up until 8 o'clock today, a large swath of those could be handled in a very precise, knowledgeable way. I see that as enabling humans to do their best work, not all of the rote work that we feel compelled to do every day.
Yeah. Just one other question from me, and then I want to try and get through some of the great questions that are already coming in from the audience. You were nodding away when Karen Deep from Character AI was saying that the AI native generation is, better equipped to deal with AI. They're thinking in an AI first way, which would suit your company, and I dare say you've hired some of them. But in the second session with Tim Berners-Lee, he was hinting, obviously, that as we see, people are leaping straight to the result of an AI search when they're trying to find things out. How is this generation, AI native generation, going to actually learn the underlying things that they need in order to apply and acquire experience to judge what is the right way to use AI in future?
Well, every company, organization, anyone doing anything should be immersing themselves in not just the technology, but the controversies, the debates, the arguments about ethics, about open, about closed, guidelines, guardrails, all of these things that are trying to rein AI in. But you have to do that, because if you don't, we're going to have a world of haves and have-nots. And the have-nots are the ones that are like, I'm going to kind of look at this. I'm not sure it's that important, kind of hoping it's going to go away. I hear bubble, good. Maybe there's a bubble, it'll blow up. Remember, like .com did. But .com didn't go away. It just figured itself out and kept going and growing. And yes, what a thrill to see Sir Tim Berners-Lee sitting on the stage just a short time ago, the man credited with inventing the web, because the web has given LLMs their power, right? I mean, LLMs are able to not just search, but that's how they trained. They trained on the vast trove of interconnected data around the world. I heard him say, I'm concerned about it. But when I heard him say that, I thought, well, I think that the music producers who said, I'm worried about my record sales, said 20 plus years ago when file sharing was first coming out. And what happened there? We just had to figure out a different model, right? We figured out a different model and record sales went away, but that industry still goes, because that's what's happening here. So we have this dramatic change in technology. There is no stopping it, folks. Absolutely no stopping it. You have to be on board with it. You can't resist it, or if you do, in my opinion, the way I see it, you will be on the outside looking into the way the world's changing. This is that dramatic of a change.
Okay, just let me get to a couple of questions here. What's the kind of downside risk from email and personal agents being shared between IgniteTech customers and others? What are the risks of having those kind of personas dealing with stuff? Presumably you have to have some guardrails built in, either technological or indeed human.
Oh yeah, sure. Now, they're not shared, of course, with other customers, but they are shared within IgniteTech and the appropriate people, because they're inbound emails to our company asking questions, right? And so the way, again, because it's human-centered, It's very grounded in the knowledge that it's given. It's not using a general LLM to just answer questions. That would result in bad experiences, hallucinations, bad results. So it's front-ended with technology, known in the industry as RAG, our own RAG that we developed, to put the knowledge in front. And if it can't answer the question, it will then add to the email and say, I've added Steve York to this email, who is a human, and Steve is better equipped to answer this question, and it then has escalated to the human. Now, this is all centered around something called grounding, and this is a known term in the industry. Grounding is what percentage of time do you get the result you want? Our grounding is higher than the general LLMs by 10, 15%. That's remarkable. It's higher than Google. We have a theory, not yet actually proven, that it's because we've told the LLM, if you don't know, it's okay, go ask Steve. Steve will help you. So it's less likely to hallucinate. Because the only point here, and that's what, listening to these early talks, we're just changing the interface. We're changing the interface for everything. They talk about you'll launch YouTube directly from an LLM, Tim Berners-Lee talking about how you're finding search results in AI and not in web pages. So we're literally just changing the interface, but we're still doing the same thing we've always done, which is give people information that they want.
So another question just about the automated layoffs, as the questioner is putting it, that might have felt, to put it mildly, impersonal. I mean, your Glassdoor ratings are a bit of a hellscape, frankly, for you personally and for the company. I guess by laying off a lot of people, you probably reduce the risk of those ratings over time if the machine's doing it. But how do you ensure empathy and human presence in situations like a transition or a layoff?
Yeah, I think first we got to tell the whole story.
It's not Helene Roberts doing it.
No.
All the
We
time.
literally had one-on-one meetings in that situation, we had one-on-one personal meetings with literally every single person over a span of weeks. Every single person. We were very aware of trying to just shove AI in front. My example there was handling questions that were repetitive over and over again, and many times those were escalated to humans, right? Yeah, and I get that, sure. I mean, we are pioneers. We are all in, early, and we are breaking things that has hurt some feelings, and it will continue to. My 80% transition before the Chorus acquisition, Andrew, I said goodbye to people that worked for us for 5, 6, 7 years who were excellent in every way, but they just said, yeah, I'm not going to do that. We're like, you're not going to do it. But that means you can't stay. And they're like, I know. That's okay. Not bad people in any way, shape, or form. Just couldn't be part of the boat that we're trying to row in the same direction with everybody, right? And that's what it is. You spend and this is my takeaway from this. You spend too much energy trying to get people to convince them that, like, this is a good boat, and it's going to go that way, and you should get out of that boat and get in this boat. Like, well, I'm not sure. You'll waste too much energy. So just set sail, give every opportunity for people to join with their whole hearts and their whole energy, and if they do, that's wonderful.
That's a good point on which to end. As Eric said, you can go and try out Eloquens and My Personas.
Both are out there.
During the break. Thanks to Eric Vaughan for gamely handling my softball questions.
They were very, yeah, thank you.